Now, we're learning something about rational belief. And rational belief has something to do with the evidence that you have. So, for example, and this is what you're showing, it's sort of like there's a scale there. That's my crude picture in PowerPoint of a scale. If you have the proposition P, notice if the evidence, the evidence for P, we have less evidence for P than against P. What is it that's reasonable for us to do? That is, if the person's evidence goes against P, so that's why P is going up there, what's reasonable to believe is it's reasonable to disbelieve the proposition, right? So the evidence here is against P. Now, if it's the other way, that the evidence, the one that's on top, the evidence sending you up is for P, if the person's evidence about the proposition supports the proposition, that's why it ends up higher over here, then it's rational to believe that the person, to believe that proposition P, right? If you have evidence, good evidence for P, no evidence for against P, you should believe it. And finally, and here's the hazard case, where the evidence is equal, none is above the, that is, the evidence for P doesn't push you above the evidence against P. What's reasonable for you to believe is neither. It's rational. Well, that doesn't say what it's supposed to. Let me fix this up as you guys are watching here. If the person's evidence concerning a proposition, whoa, this is the one that I need here. Of course, this is the third case that we're talking about. Copy. Bear with me a second, guys. Even I make those mistakes. So if the evidence is neutral, then it's rational for the person to suspend judgment concerning the proposition. Right? So in summary, we have the principle of rational belief. If the person's evidence concerning a proposition supports that proposition, it's rational for the person to believe it. If the evidence goes against the proposition, it's rational to disbelieve it, to believe it's false. And if the evidence is neutral, it's even, it's rational to suspend judgment.